Hi everybody, it's EK from EK Gorman Designs, and I am sneaking in today for the Elizabeth Craft Designs July Designer Challenge. And this month the challenge is, what would you do with the Blackboard Alphabet and Blackboard Number die set? And obviously, if you're using Blackboard Alphabets and Blackboard Numbers, you need to make a Blackboard card for a teacher. So I started by die cutting a wood frame with the new Frame-It Stitch squares, because in my mind, blackboards are still black and you use chalk on them, and kids who are being punished have to clean erasers. I know all of my kids' school rooms have dry erase boards and expo markers, but in my mind, you still use chalk on a blackboard that gets dirty. These are the new, and new as in a couple months, alphabet and number dies. I wanted to originally have them kind of floating all over the blackboard, but the 6 number and letters weren't really enough to have like the random floatingness. So in the end, you're watching me try to figure this out for myself. Yeah. In the end, I went with the logical ABC and 123 and just kind of had them wonky. And by the magic of video, we have them die cut like that, because nobody wants to watch me pull out my die cutting machine and die cut. It's not, you know how to do it. Anyway, I pulled out some white pigment ink and just kind of went roughly over the black soft finish cardstock to get that, like, didn't quite get the blackboard clean effect on it. I went really, really heavy on the sides, knowing that my wood frame would actually go over it. This card ended up being a 6" by 6" card, and I took some Dove Gray soft finish cardstock and then flipped it so the white would be showing, because the back of the colored cardstock on all of the Elizabeth Craft Design soft finish cardstock is white, and then the front is textured and colored. So I was like, you know what, it'd be great having a Dove Gray inside. Using the double sided adhesive, I adhered the black frame to the card frame, or the black board, for lack of a better word, to the card frame. And then I needed to get the A and the B's center floating pieces back in. So I pulled out my Kids Choice glue, because it is really the best glue for card making. It doesn't warp the paper like so many wet glues do. And it's a wet glue, but yeah. And I grabbed my tweezers because I knew I was going to need to be smarter than I actually am, and the tweezers help me be smarter than I am. And put the letters back in without any glue. Added some glue to the floating center pieces and put them back in. This, for me, is the simplest way to get the pieces back into the letter properly without it being wonky. If I just try to eyeball it, it's wonky, it's bad, it doesn't work. But in this case, it does. And then using my tweezers, I just pick back up the letter. And see, look, it works! No joke, if I seriously try to eyeball this, it's crooked, it's upside down. Yeah, not that skilled. So I have to cheat and put the letters back in. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there either. But it doesn't take long and it works perfectly. So there is the basic beginning of my blackboard card. Here's that piece of Wood Effects printed paper, and I'm adding back on some more double-sided adhesive all the way around. When I've got a random cutout like this, I do actually put it on all sides. Otherwise, there's the potential of something lifting and being funny looking. And I added the wood frame on top of the blackboard, because again, it's 30 years ago, and I'm still living in the past. No matter how many times I go into my kid's school and see that dry erase board, I live in a world with chalk, because it's how schools are supposed to be. Chalk was awesome. Like, if you were a goody two-shoes, you offered to clean the chalkboard. There's no cleaning expo marker boards. They don't work that way. I knew I wanted to put an apple and some blocks onto my card. However, I don't have an apple die set. I got nothing. Nothing that would even work. But in the summer drinks die set, there's actually the ability to kind of do what I wanted to do. So using what is supposed to be a lemon die, I die cut a red circle to make the base of my apple, and then using the trio of leaves die set, I die cut out a whole piece and then just trimmed off so I had one little stem and one little leaf. See, look, it's an apple! Without any color or like manipulation, it's an apple. I really love looking at dies and trying to figure out how I can use them beyond just the way they were intended to be used. I want to make my purchases go as far as humanly possible. And when I came up with this Blackboard idea, it was never about making a die set be used in a different way. But as I got further and further into the design of this Blackboard die, or this Blackboard card, I knew I needed an apple, because what other image goes as well with an apple, or with a teacher card, than an apple? So I created the little stem and using my Copics colored things up. And then with the magic of some gray markers, turn this lemon die into an apple. And yes, instead of trimming off the little like part of an apple that turns the bottom into what is an apple, I just used my markers to create a little gray shadow and thus create the bottom of my apple card. Same thing with blocks. Like, I wanted those ABC 123 blocks that are so much a part of early education. Like, if you think elementary school and you think like the kinder first grade years, for some reason those colorful primary color blocks come to mind. These blocks that I die cut were never ever intended to be classroom blocks. They're supposed to be ice cubes, but ice cubes really are nothing more than blocks. Again, making those dies stretch further than what it was actually supposed to ever be. And I love that. I adore figuring that out. Like, how can I make it go further? So I just, with a couple, each color is really only 2 markers, just created some shadowing. Now, here I thought I'd be really kind and show you how I drew in the blocks. You're just watching my hand. There's no seeing what I'm doing. Because I do mixed media so much, I've ruined all my pens, and the sides of them don't work. So like, I have to draw with them straight up and down, and when you're trying to videotape yourself writing on something straight up, and it doesn't work. I promise I zoom out. There you go. I'm zoomed out. So there's the little apple. See how the lemon kind of turned into a realistic looking apple? And I've got my little blocks. Now, if you wonder what I'm using to glue this down, I have a bunch of old clay sculpting tools, because I used to sculpt clay because ADD is a problem and I can't stick with one thing long. But I have some old clay sculpting tools, and I actually use those to put the glue onto my paper. It cleans off, it peels off when it's dry. It's, for me, the perfect tool to use to adhere glue without getting glue globs all over my projects. So if anybody's wondering what that weird curved wooden tool is, it's an old clay sculpting tool. And there we go, that's the card. Now, after I finished videotaping, I realized I needed a piece of chalk, because what is a blackboard without a piece of chalk? This chalk is actually from the straw of the summer drinks die set. So, again, stretching a die further than it was supposed to be. I hope you enjoy watching me stretch some dies further than they were supposed to be, and seeing how I interpreted the July Designer Challenge. Pop over to the Elizabeth Craft Designs blog. The link will be in the doobly-doo below for a chance to win a gift card. Like what you're seeing, give me a thumbs up or subscribe. Otherwise, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. Bye.